I thought I would change it up for you each week and kind of give you a different perspective. I'm coming to you from the hardware laboratory today, and you see our engineer hard at work right behind me, even though it's lunchtime. Thanks to everyone who gave me some feedback on the first video nuggets from last week. My goal this week is to make it under 5 minutes and to get it out on Friday, and I'm going to try some improvement on the graphics. So hope you all like that. First thing is I want you to check out the safety incident that is included in Kevin Bess's last safety report. This is a picture of an overturned truck. So our truck got involved in a unexpected lane change, swerved and missed the other car, flipped over. Fortunately, no one was hurt. So Kevin, the message he tried to pull out of that is the importance of wearing safety belts. It kept someone from getting injured. Aside from this, the other safety incidents were very minor in July. I want to read you, here's an example of the kind of thing we deal with, and I may be wrong on this, but it seems in my perception, this kind of stuff is becoming more and more frequently. So here's what the safe report read. There was a call-in complaint on ADS driver alleging rude driving and passing in a no passing zone. ADS driver stated while en route following two slow vehicles, another vehicle was following closely behind him. The tailing vehicle passed and squeezed in front of him. ADS driver honked horn and flashed headlights. Driver of other vehicle made rude gestures. And that driver evidently went on, was so upset about this that they had to call in and complain about our driver. I know who this driver is. It's not the kind of person who would be alleged rude driving and passing in a no passing zone, but we seem to encounter more and more kind of road rage events. And I guess something we have to deal with as long as we're out there among the public. Moving off of safety, my week this past week was consumed mostly in preparing for the strategic plan that will be presented to IDEX next Tuesday up in Chicago. And we had an international sales meeting held this week with all the salespeople coming in Huntsville. So as far as the strategic plan goes, I'll withhold talking more about that until after Tuesday. And next week I'll let you know how that went. The sales meeting was really good. It was focused on Prism, with WEFTEC coming up, which will be a major milestone for Prism introduction. We were prepping for that, how to sell Prism, what the messaging was, and also talking about what next wave of features that the salespeople felt like they needed most to be able to sell more new subscriptions and then convert old customers onto Prism. Because for some time now, for a few more months anyway, we'll have customers that remain on FlowView because not every FlowView feature is replicated in Prism. But the goal is as quickly as possible is to get everyone over. Taylor Holt made some very professional slides for me that I'll show you. They're actually part of our strategic plan presentation next week. This first slide is the first major goal of Prism, and that is to replace the 5 other software packages that we use today. Profile, QStart, FlowView. You'll notice in the features that are listed in these packages that there's a lot of replication. For example, both QStart, FlowView, Profile, enable collection of data. So those are 3 different features. They have to be maintained. They had to be written in the first place, and that redundancy goes away among a lot of redundancy in data storage when we can get on the one platform of Prism. I'm told by some of the operations folks, they believe that simply the consolidation to a single database and a single platform could be the greatest contribution Prism is going to bring to us. The second slide is, let's just say, the tip of the iceberg on what Prism capabilities can be beyond what we have today. Those fall into 2 categories. There are capabilities that encourage productivity, things like auto review, autocorrect, and then there are capabilities that will enable us to be more competitive in the marketplace and not just sell Prism subscriptions, because honestly, there's not a lot of money if we only sold software. But this makes us more competitive in flow monitoring projects. And the project value is much greater than the software value alone because we get service revenue that comes along with that, and we get equipment revenue that comes along with that. Another great presentation among the many presentations was one by Kevin Enfinger, and he was talking about work that's been done on our analytical apps. He claims, I may get this wrong, but I think he takes responsibility for preventing 9 sanitary sewer overflows in like 8 different states. And he showed us in the presentation what the data looked like from blockage prediction, which is a application within Prism. And then he had some actual photographs of what our field technicians had discovered when they went to visit these sites. So here, the first slide is an example of rocks in San Antonio. So you can see that depth spiked up, blockage prediction appropriately notified the user that there was a potential blockage. We went out, found the rocks, and you can see in the hydrograph that the depth levels went down, and that's at the point that the rocks were cleaned out of the bottom of the sewer. So you can see the obvious advantage. We prevented an overflow. Chances are that rocks like that will continue to accumulate more debris until the entire pipe capacity is used up. And we also regain capacity should it rain. Now that pipe can carry more storm flow than it could have if the rocks still been there. The second example is a stick caught in an outgoing line in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a good illustration of what happens. So a small stick doesn't take up a lot of room, no, but when the stick grabs a rag, it takes up more space, and when that rag catches some other debris that flows down that pipe, again, that will accumulate, and potentially there will be little to no carrying capacity in that pipe, and the result will be an overflow. We found it very early while it was just a stick and a rag. And the third example was an example of grease. We have two lines coming in this pipe, one line going out. Grease is building up at the end of one of the incoming lines. Kevin talked about how now we're seeing in blockage prediction the ability to observe by the behavior of the hydrograph whether it's debris build up on the bottom of the pipe or whether it's grease build up in the middle of the pipe. And eventually we hope to have some examples of root intrusion and how a root might look different in a hydrograph. So some of the sales meeting participants got together to play a little golf. The heat index was over 100 degrees. It was scorching hot. There was some gambling going on, I'm going to admit that. But before you look up the Ethics Hotline phone number, please understand that 100% of the winnings went to charities in Huntsville. So we donated approximately $500 to Kids to Love and to Lincoln Village. Those are both charities in Huntsville who serve at-risk children and educate them and hope, and well, they're actually succeeding in breaking cycles of poverty through education. Here's a picture of all the finely tuned athletes in the clubhouse when all was done. It was an international competition. This photo shows Simon and Javier from Australia. Eric Mao from China was an international observer of the golf event, and we're glad to have those three join us this week for all of the sales meeting. The winning team in this final photograph was Cheryl Paulin from the North, Dean George from the Midwest, Steve Jolly and Scott Helfrey from our South regions. And congratulations to them. And their award was they had the right to choose the charity that the winnings were donated to. Finally, I heard an interview this week. A prestigious football coach, who I will not name, was talking about good organizational situations. And it seemed relevant to me combined with the presentation I'd heard earlier that day at our sales meeting. We win close to 80% of all the jobs that we compete on or go after. And even this year, when we're struggling to meet expectations, we're still winning 3 out of 4 times or better on all the opportunities that we pursue. So we do quite well. And here's what the coach said. The coach said, I hope our players really understand what they have, the opportunities that they have, and their focus is really in the right place, which is on our team being good. I think sometimes players don't realize, they get a little self-absorbed and they think about how things affect them, but really playing good and winning helps players more than anything else. And the reason our players get all the accolades that they get and all the notice and attention they get is because they're good players, but it's also because we win. I thought that's a good wrap on the sales meeting. We talked a lot in the sales meeting about how to get better and things we need and the struggles we face in the marketplace. But let's not forget, we have the best sales team in our industry, and they win. And they had some really great ideas to bring to future product development that I think will be beneficial to us. So great job by all the participants there and everyone who presented. And that's it. In less than 10 minutes, not 5, so I'll try to do better next week. But be safe. Have a great weekend.